Good morning, grade fives, and welcome back. This is Unit 6, Lesson 7. We're going to be talking about prisms and pyramids, and more specifically, we're going to be learning how to draw them. So, first off, let's take a look at prisms. I've drawn three two-dimensional shapes here that are going to be the front face of our prism. And the one thing you need to know about prisms is that the front face of a prism is exactly the same as the back face of the prism. So, to draw this, I'm going to take this front face here, and I'm just going to make an exact copy of it. If you're drawing in your notebooks, and I recommend you just have a scrap of paper or a notebook or something to follow along, I want you to draw a rectangle, and then up and to the left, draw a second rectangle, just like that. So you should have this so far. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take a line and connect all of the corners from your first shape to your second shape. So for example, I'm going to connect this top left corner from my duplicate rectangle to my original rectangle, like so. So you have a line going across, and you're going to do that for every single corner in your shape. So like this, and like this. Now, what you've created so far is a transparent rectangular prism. So that looks really cool. You can kind of see that this is the front face, the back face, etc. Kind of like how we had before with our colored one. But this one's transparent. If you want to make it look like it's not transparent in your drawings, you're going to have to erase a few lines. So anything that you normally wouldn't be able to see would be this line, this line, this line, and that's it. So once you've taken out those three lines, you can see this looks more like an opaque rectangular prism. Like this one was here, you can only see three faces at once when they're colored in. It's only until you remove a face that you see other sides. So that would be how you do it. You have to take your eraser and erase those three lines. But I'm going to put them back, if I can, for now. Let's take a look at our next one here. The triangular prism starts with a triangle face. Surprise, surprise. So we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to duplicate our front face here, which are these three lines, and make the exact same triangle just a little bit further back and to the right. So I'm going to connect all three of these corners as closely as I can from the back shape to the front shape with a line, like so, and like so. And there you have a triangular prism. Now, interestingly enough, on this triangular prism, you'd actually be able to see this face and this face, as well as this one, whereas the one we drew before, you could only see two faces at a time, just the front and the top, because of the angle we were looking at it. But in this case, you can see both, so it's kind of cool. You wouldn't be able to see this line if it was opaque, so I could remove that. And then you have now, just by removing one line, an opaque triangular prism. So you can choose in your drawings if you want them to be opaque or transparent. A lot of people draw the transparent versions. It just makes like you can see through the faces, but you can't see through the edges. Now, if you've been thinking ahead in this video, you knew that we were going to do the plus next. I want you guys to try this on your own, so pause the video if you can. Make a second version of this plus up and to the right, and then connect every line and see what it looks like. So pause the video here, and then I'm going to do it as soon as you unpause. Here we go. I'm going to copy this up here, like so, and every single corner of this shape is going to get copied, or sorry, is going to get connected to the duplicate shape back here. Okay, so right there to there, right there to there. And you're going to notice with this one, if you already drew it, I'm guessing a lot of you guys didn't actually pause the video, but if you did and you drew it, you're going to notice that this one gets pretty complicated really quickly because you've got a lot of lines that are very close together. So I have never seen a transparent cross pyramid in real life, but this is something like what it would look like. However, a lot of these lines you wouldn't actually be able to see if it was opaque. You'd only be able to see just a couple of these. So let's just take a couple of these out here. Actually, I'm going to take away most of them here. The only lines that you'd be able to see are that one, and this just comes from kind of looking at the shape a few times. You'll kind of get a knack for which ones would be visible. And only part of this one, this is interesting because we didn't have a partial line in the other ones, but this line here will get cut off right about there. by this top piece. And you won't be able to see this, or this, or this. You'll only be able to see part of this. Won't be able to see that. And you'll start to notice as I'm deleting these lines here that this looks a little bit more manageable, and you can kind of see the three-dimensional cross shape. And you have to use your imagination a little bit, but you can see that this has become a bit of a prism. Looks kind of cool. I prefer the opaque one to this because the transparent one is just, you can't really tell what's going on with all those lines. So those are prisms. You can make a prism with any shape that has only straight edges just by creating a second version and connecting all of the corners. Again, if you want to erase some of the lines, you can make it look opaque. Let's move on to pyramids. So pyramids are very similar actually in the way that you draw them, except instead of creating a second version of the shape, you're just going to create a single point. I'm going to represent it with a really tiny dot, but you don't even need to necessarily. Let's find a dot here. So I've got a really tiny black dot there for my first pyramid. Let's move it to, let's go to here. But if you just want to start drawing lines to any spot on the page, as long as they all go to the same spot, you'll create a pyramid. So instead of moving all your corners to the next corner, we're going to move them all to this one dot, like so, like this, like this, and like that. There you go. So now we have a rectangular pyramid. Again, if you think about this as being a solid object, you wouldn't be able to see this line in the back, and it would look something more like that. Okay, so that's our rectangular pyramid. Same thing with our triangular pyramid. We're just going to pick a, I'll just make a new one. We're just going to pick a point anywhere we want to connect all the lines to, and I'll show you that you really can do it anywhere you want to. I'll make kind of a wonky one. I'll put the dot way up here now, and you can still connect all of your lines, all of your corners to that dot, and it will just make a really tall and kind of crooked pyramid, but still technically a pyramid. Doesn't matter where you put that dot. So this is still a pyramid, except this line's in the back, you wouldn't be able to see it, and so it would look something like that. Another way you can draw it, sometimes people will make the line in the back a dotted line like this, so you know that it's behind, and that can be another way to draw three-dimensional shapes, especially if you're drawing on paper. Sometimes I'll make the line in the back just a dotted line. But again, the style is kind of up to you. Yeah, I kind of like that. That looks good. Now, for the big one here, the cross pyramid. Again, not a shape that you'd see very often, but technically you can do it. If you have the, make it a mess. Let's make one more dot here. And I'm going to put it, let's put it right nice and simple because this one's already complicated enough. And you guessed it, I'm going to take a line going from every single corner up to the dot. Except in this case, I'm going to try and simplify right from the start, and I'm only going to do the lines that I think I would be able to see. Oh, except I'm doing it wrong already. It would be the ones in the front here. Yeah, this one we would not be able to see. This one we would. This one we would. And even then, you'll notice very quickly that this is becoming very complex of a shape, and it would be oops, keep copying too many lines. Okay, as I'm doing this, you don't have to just sit and watch me. You guys should try and draw this as well. Draw it on paper if you can. Now these back lines, I obviously wouldn't be able to see, so I'm just going to delete them. Delete, delete. Oops, not too many. And delete, delete, delete. And that is something of what a triangle pyramid would look like if you're looking at it straight on. Oh, actually, I missed one line. Need one right here as well. Something like that, which is actually kind of cool looking. It looks like there's like a door to the pyramid or something. So I didn't draw my dotted lines on this one, obviously, but that's something like what a cross pyramid would look like. So that's how to draw prisms and pyramids. If you don't know how to do the cross one, don't worry about it, but you should be able to draw a pyramid or a prism with a square or triangle base for sure. I'm pretty sure in the workbook it asks you to draw one with a pentagon face, which would be the same thing. Just whatever shape you start with, you're either connecting all your points to one point, one dot, or you're connecting them all your corners to the corner on the duplicate shape. Hopefully that helped, and good luck with your work, grade 5s. Have a great weekend.